Hey everybody, HomeSliceHenry here, and in today's video we're taking a look at a brand new charge attack in the world of Pokemon Go, Nature's Madness. Nature's Madness is the signature move for the TAPUs, and Tapu Koko has made its return back into raids. Nature's Madness is a fairy-type charge attack dealing 80 damage for 50 energy, and it guaranteed debuffs your opponent's defense. So I was able to get a Tapu Koko from a remote raid, use entirely too much Arcana to power it up, and test it out in the Open Ultra League, and giving Tapu Koko not only a cheaper charge move, but a debuffing move as well, ended up working out way better than I expected. Hopping to the first match, leading Poliwrath into Shadow Dragonite. Not a terrible spot to be in as the Poliwrath. As the Poliwrath user in this lead matchup, I've started just no shielding. My opponent is going to have to throw 2 charge attacks to pick up the knockout, and I'm more than happy just generating a shield advantage from this lead. My opponent is going to commit the shield. Again, they're going to have to fire off a charge attack here, and they do so, going for the Dragon Claw on charge attack priority to the Icy Wind. I'm going to let this go and just go for farm with the Tapu Koko. In comes Tapu Koko, opponent is going to pivot. They're sending out a Poliwrath, and I'm firing off Nature's Madness. Nature's Madness will deal some pretty nice damage onto the Poliwrath. Poliwrath barely able to hang on and make it to a last second Icy Wind. I'm going to no shield. Icy Wind still does a decent chunk of damage, as after all it is a Tapu Koko, but my opponent is now going to send in Talonflame. Talonflame, I build up to the Thunderbolt, I'm baiting with the Nature's Madness. Opponent, they call the Nature's Madness bait. That's a good bait call by my opponent, but I've now debuffed their defense, which means I can just knock out with a Night Slash. This forces them to switch out into the Dragonite, and this sets up my win con, as now I can just fully farm down here, and then I'm in a commanding position to win this game. My opponent can send in the Talonflame. I'm going to throw 2 wing attacks and the Night Slash, making sure that I'm throwing with good charge attack timing principles. The Night Slash will be no shielded. I'm farming up and I'm going for another Night Slash. My opponent will have to throw their charge attack immediately to deny me being able to make it to a 3rd Night Slash. And then this game is a guaranteed win because Tapu Koko's Volt Switch is 4 turns, whereas Incinerate is 5, so their damage does not register, and I take the win. Moving into the next match, picking up a terrific lead, Poliwrath into Walrein. Opponent save switches into a regular Ampharos, and unfortunately for our opponent, it looks like we more or less have them hard countered to start out this game. They're going to fire off the Brutal Swing. Shadow Gliscor, not too concerned about non-Shadow Brutal Swings, so I'm more than happy to no-shield both of these charge attacks. I'm farming up quite a lot of energy, and I decide to go for the bait. Even if they call this, I can still make it to the Earthquake. The opponent does call the bait, so a pretty nice call by the opponent, but I can just make it to the Earthquake and still guarantee the shield advantage or switch that I'm after. They let it go. They're just going to go for farm on the Walrein, but they don't get a whole lot, and I can send in Poliwrath. In the back, it's a Sylveon. I haven't seen a Sylveon in quite some time. I'm just going to debuff it with Icy Wind, and then it's time. Unleash Tapu Koko. Tapu Koko is going to be taking a decent amount of damage from these charms. I'm going to be committing the shield and then look to start firing off Nature's Madness. As of course, even if they shield the Nature's Madness, future ones are only going to do more due to that guaranteed defense drop. They shield the Nature's Madness. I'm able to make it to Nature's Madness number 2, and this is going to be goodbye to the Sylveon. Opponent now needs a farm down to win. In comes the Walrein, looking for the farm down, but it's not to be. Tapu Koko makes the Thunderbolt. This is going to be, as Jamie Finn would say, hello Walrein, goodbye Walrein, and that is a good game. Moving into the next match, we see another Ampharos. This time it's on the lead. I throw 1 counter and then switch into the Gliscor, so I am able to defer that Volt Switch damage onto the Gliscor, and my opponent responds with their own Poliwrath. Without Aerial Ace, I can't really make a play for switch, so I'm just going to full send the Earthquake. They shield, and I'm more than happy to let this go. They can now go for an Icy Wind and a nice farm down. I will be able to make it to a last second Night Slash. Night Slash, of course, not going to be doing a whole lot here, but at this point, any damage will be useful, and I can send in my own Poliwrath. I'm very much relying on Tapu Koko to close out this game for me. They go for the Scald, and they do not get the debuff. I continue to farm. I don't want to take any chances. It's been a bit since I played a Poliwrath Mirror in Ultra, so I just full send the Scald, and I'm able to pick up the knockout. When they send in the Ampharos, I'm again going to throw 1 counter and switch to again defer that damage onto my back Pokemon, and in the back, they have Skeledirge. I really want to bait with the Nature's Madness, but it feels so risky. I already had a Talon call my bait, so I go for the Thunderbolt, and they shield, so I definitely should have gone for the Nature's Madness. Oh, that is unfortunate. I shield up. I will be able to make it to the Thunderbolt, and this Thunderbolt should be able to pick up the knockout, as Tapu Koko does hit quite hard. The Thunderbolt will pick up the KO. In comes the Ampharos. Ampharos has to throw, or I will make it to a Nature's Madness. This will not KO, but it will get them low. The opponent now in an interesting spot as I aggressively switch in the Poliwrath, and I'm going to commit the shield. Opponent full sends the Zap Cannon, and that's going to be game over as I can very comfortably make it to the Icy Wind. So tough alignment on the lead and swap, but able to leverage the shield advantage from the mid game and get the win. Moving to the next match, between Poliwrath into Escavalier, the battle of counter users. Honestly, I haven't seen Escavalier a whole lot as of late, but I'm hoping to see more of it when Ultra Premier does come back next season. Escav is going to play to charge attack priority and go for the drill run. Since that's their tendency, I'm now going to build up to a second Scald and then try and go for a catch. So they end up shielding, I'm just going to build up to the Scald and then look to switch into the Gliscor, and I get the catch, and no matter what they threw, it's not going to do a lot of damage. And there it is, the double resisted and debuff drill run. In comes Giratina. I go for the Night Slash. Opponent is perfectly content with just playing to charge attack priority, and that's very okay by me, as I just want to get damage off on this Giratina if at all possible. Giratina will go for the Dragon Claw. Not going to do a whole lot of damage. I will survive another Dragon Claw after, as I fire off another Night Slash, and again, charge attack priority tie. Night Slash is going to get them low. They're firing off their energy, and I'm looking for my switch clock. Is it up? It should be up soon. In comes the Poliwrath, and I get the combo play. They're going to get knocked out here unless they burn the final shield, which they do not. They're going to get KO'd. What do they have in the back? They're not going to want to bring in Escav here. They have Jellicent, and this could get a bit interesting. I have a Scald, but I want the guaranteed debuff from the Icy Wind, so I'm going to go for the Icy Wind. Opponent was never going to shield that anyway, but I just wanted to get a debuff because, as we know, Tapu Koko, not the tankiest mon around. I'm going to send in a Gliscor and threaten the ability to make a Night Slash to force them to throw a Surf, and now it's time. We're sending back in Tapu Koko. They switch into Escavalier to reset the debuff, but Escavalier does not make it to a move. Back in comes the Jellicent. And from here, I should be in a very convincing spot. They go for the Surf. This is only enough for another Surf, so I can no-shield this. If my counting is correct, this is only a Surf, and it is only the Surf, and I can just start firing off these Nature's Madness. Whether they shield it or not, it's still going to get the defense drop. The Nature's Madness is going to be no-shielded, but that just means that Volt Switch is doing extra damage, and we're able to take the win. We see a familiar lead in the next match, Poliwrath versus Shadow Dragonite. Again, I don't mind this lead whatsoever. I'm just never going to shield as the Poliwrath, because since I'm the non-Shadow Poliwrath, my opponent will have to give up a shield and throw twice in this matchup. So they go for the Dragon Claw on charge attack priority. I return fire with the Icy Wind. They commit the shield, and again, they cannot farm me down here. I will make the Icy Wind. They throw their energy as soon as they get it, and now they're down a shield, they're debuffed, and they're about to be completely walled by Tapu Koko. They're going to pivot. In comes Jellicent. The game's stuttering quite a bit. I'm firing off this Thunderbolt as soon as I get there, because if they do not respect this damage, they're getting KO'd. They're losing their entire Jellicent, and they're losing a Shadow Ball's worth of energy. In comes the Gliscor, going for the Night Slash. It ends up being charge attack priority there due to the one-turn swap. Overall, the game felt really, really stuttery during these battles. It didn't really affect the outcome of them too much, but definitely did feel that the game state did not feel in an amazing spot. And from here, I can just save my shields for Tapu Koko, and my opponent does not have a win con. I send in the Tapu. They're going to switch into the Dragonite. I can overfarm by one Volt Switch, go for the Nature's Madness. That's going to be goodbye to the Shadow Dragonite. I have 2 shields left. Skeledirge just has no way to get rid of all my shields in this moment. Their only hope is to try and farm down, but that's not going to be possible either, as I'm able to make it to the Thunderbolt, and this will comfortably be enough damage to KO the Skeledirge and secure the win. Moving into the next match, leading Poliwrath into Shadow Alolan Sandslash, an amazing lead. Opponent save switches into Giratina. I'm more than happy to stay in here and debuff with the Poliwrath before I end up switching out. Nature's Madness is a significantly cheaper fairy move for Tapu Koko, which does help it in situations where it needs fairy damage, but even so, something like Shadow Claw Giratina is still a matchup that isn't very comfortable, just due to the fact that you're not dealing super effective damage with your fast attack. Your fast attack is resisted, so you're entirely reliant on Nature's Madness. So it does help Tapu Koko's pacing problem quite a bit, but in something like a Giratina matchup, it's still not very comfortable, just due to the fact that Giratina has really quick pacing with Shadow Claw, and as we're going to see, I'm able to get the KO there because I did debuff it, but Tapu Koko, again, is still not the bulkiest. This move is definitely a very nice upgrade for the Tapu Koko, but it does still have some issues that remain. Mainly, of course, just due to how glassy it is. They go for the drill run, opponent is going to send in Tentacruel, and I'm going to immediately respond with the Gliscor. I'm at a shield advantage, so I'm in a very comfortable position here. They go for the Scald. They do get the drop, which means that an Earthquake, despite it being a Shadow Earthquake, is not going to be enough to KO. But as long as this gets no shielded, which it does, I'm just in a strictly winning position. Because now they're in a position where if they didn't shield an Earthquake, they're not shielding a Night Slash, and I can just basically go straight Night Slash versus the Sand Slash. They're going to know that I'm short of an Earthquake, but that's honestly fine. My goal in this moment is just to get chip damage to make it so I need fewer counters to pick up the KO with the Poliwrath. They're going to win charge attack priority, but saving the shield for the Poliwrath means this game is just a win. So I can send it in the Poliwrath as the opponent is not going to be able to farm down before the double super effective counters get the job done. Moving to the next match, a great lead Poliwrath into a regular Swampert. Opponent stays in this matchup for a little bit. They save switch into a Nidoqueen. Apparently, I have not been playing a lot of Ultra League lately because I feel like I'm seeing a lot of Pokemon that I haven't seen for quite some time. Nidoqueen shields the Scald. They get debuffed. I'm waiting for them to throw a Fang, or if they build up to the Earth Power, I was going to try and catch it on the Gliscor, but either way, I'm more than happy to just absorb that damage onto the Poliwrath and now send in the Gliscor. Gliscor is going to be debuffed with a Poison Fang. That's very okay by me, as I can farm up and go for the Earthquake right before they're able to make it to their next charge attack. They already shielded once, they are not shielding twice, and down goes Nidoqueen. In comes Swampert. This will KO me, but I actually decide to shield. The reason being is due to the fact that I overfarm versus the Nido, I can actually outpace here, make it to a Shadow Earthquake, and this will do a lot of damage to Swampert. The Shadow Earthquake gets no shielded Swampert, looking to overfarm, leaving with energy, but very low. I'm expecting them to blind switch, so I'm actually going to send in Tapu Koko here. A bit of a risk, but it pays off, as now I'm ahead on energy in the back. It's Jellicent. Opponent sees the writing on the wall and concedes the match. Tough lead in the next match, Poliwrath versus Galarian Weezing. I throw one counter, save switch into Gliscor. My opponent is going to respond with a regular Swampert. Swampert not going to be able to pick up the KO here with the Hydro Cannon, and they have zero fast attack pressure with Mud Shot, so I'm more than happy to no shield and just go straight for the Earthquake. Shadow Earthquake is going to be able to connect onto the Swampert, but here's where the Earthquake nerf from previous seasons hurts, as unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to wing attack down. They just played a charge attack priority, and I do not win switch advantage. I send in the Poliwrath. The game lags a bunch. I'm unable to get my farm down, and they make it to a move. Granted, it is only to a Hydro Cannon, but still, it's more the principle of it. In the back, they have a Jellicent. I send in the Tapu Koko, and they're going to respond with Galarian Weezing. Now, this is a situation where I'm not seeing a path forward to victory. I do successfully call that it's a Brutal Swing bait, but even so, this is looking really, really tough. I go for the Nature's Madness bait, I get the shield, and of course, I get the guaranteed defense drop, and my opponent is probably just going to start going for guaranteed Brutal Swings, because they know that even the Brutal Swings will add up. See, Tapu Koko, now that it has the cheaper charge attack of Nature's Madness, can better fight back in situations like this, but unfortunately, in the twos, if there are still two Pokemon that it needs to KO by itself, it's probably going to end up falling a bit short. This is not a Pokemon that's rising into like the top of the meta or anything like that. It's definitely quite improved. Like Nature's Madness, having that 80-50 stats plus a guaranteed defense drop is really, really nice, especially considering the fact that you get that fairy damage way cheaper, which was a pretty big issue for it before. But still, unfortunately, it is going to be, I would say, it probably moves into more of like the usable Spice territory where you can probably get some wins with it. It's going to require some good teammates around it, but it is nice to see them continuing to put in work here. I try and overfarm, but my counts are not on. They make the surf, and unfortunately, I do lose the first game with the team. Moving into the next match, I believe that username was Dedicated Idiocy, so I really hope I don't lose to Idiocy. That would That would be quite unfortunate. My opponent is going to save switch into a Shadow Dragonite. I decided to stay in here. I could have just sent in the KOKO, but I decide, you know what? I want to try and apply some pressure here with the Icy Wind, get the debuff. I'm going to farm up to 1 before, wait a turn, and not only get the catch, but get the sneak as well. And I end up catching a superpower. And look at this. I now get the Volt Switch farm down and get to exit with energy. They're going to send in the Sand Slash. I'm farming up, and I'm going for the Thunderbolt. Thunderbolt not going to be enough to pick up a knockout here, but it is going to hurt getting that Sand Slash low. Sand Slash will fire off an Ice Punch, and I decided to do something a bit risky. I'm thinking, you know what? I kind of want to get a defense debuff on whatever's in the back. So I shield, I overfarm, I go for the Nature's Madness. They let it go. In the back, they have Jellicent. I'm going to farm up. I make it to the Thunderbolt, but I'm going for the Nature's Madness because I want that defense drop. They commit the shield, their defense gets debuffed, and now their attack is about to get debuffed by the Icy Wind. So they have a Pokemon that, in theory, could probably 1v3, but now their attack is lowered, their defense is lowered, and they're just all in all in a very uncomfortable position. And now I can send in the Gliscor. Gliscor's damage going to be aided by their defense being lowered, and Gliscor's HP definitely being helped out by the fact that their attack has been lowered as well. So I'm just in a pretty good spot. The Night Slash is going to connect, and 2 more wing attacks is going to be enough to secure the victory. All in all, I'm really excited for the addition of Nature's Madness. It's a definite improvement for Tapu Koko. Again, for the Ultra League, it's still going to be like a spice pick. It's not breaking into the main meta by any means. Mainly just the stats holding it back. I could see it having increased play in Master League, which I'm very excited about. I'm going to try and get the XL candies for it. But if it's coming for Tapu Koko, then it's probably going to be released onto the other Tapus in the coming months. So we'll get to see Pokemon like Tapu Bulu having a cheaper fairy move. Tapu Fini getting a cheaper charger move. Sorry, a cheaper charge move. Boy, I am muddling my words a little bit here. Either way, I am quite excited to see what these moves can do, as it's a definite step up for Tapu Koko. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you're enjoying the content, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And a special thank you as always to our members here on YouTube. The support you guys provide is sincerely appreciated. So thank you guys oh so very much. And until next time, I've been HomeSliceHenry.